So in this session, we're gonna do a lot of stuff. So this is the first discussion, the first stream that we're gonna have regarding Go Godot Jam. We have a lot of questions. Of course, I'm not gonna address all of them because there are a lot of them, but I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start with a couple of them which are more relevant, I think, to you. And of course, I'm looking at the chat. So if you have any questions, please do ask. But there are some issues, for example, regarding the dates. So the game jam itself, the event where you create the game, where you submit the game, it will start on the 24th of May and it will end on the 2nd of June. That's where you actually create the game. So what's happening before that? Well, before that, like starting today, we're going to have a full month of streams up until the 9th of June. It's a little more than the game jam because we'll also have the voting session, and of course after that we will discuss between the organizers and see if there are problems like with some entries and stuff like this, and then we will have a final voting. We'll have a final announcement of the winners. There will be two winners, one for 2D and one for 3D. Yes, we want to promote Godot on both sides. Okay, so where you can find the announcements for these streams? Yeah, usually I don't know where the stream will end. Right now, I'm thinking 2 hours from now. That's the estimated that I can give you. So where will you get the streams? Of course, on Twitter. And if there are some partners right now, please do tweet this stream because I had some microphone issues, and right now I'm in the middle of the stream. So that would be great if you can tweet the stream. Also for the mail, we have a newsletter, so you can sign into that. It's on the main website, and of course the website where you can find the full schedule of the whole thing. Okay, some other questions that popped up, especially on Reddit, that I want to address, and I'll quickly address them. For example, why haven't we reached to Meziz, Heartbeast, GDQuest, and so on and so forth? I reached out to them, but they had their hands full with other projects. So mostly they supported the project, they supported the jam, and I hopefully will see from them a shout out. So if they're watching, or of course I'm gonna still mail them, and I'm gonna nag them until we get a shout out. The other question that also popped up, if we are competing in any way with Godot Wild Jam, and I would say definitely no. We are not competing with any jam. If it's one thing that Godot needs is more jams, not less jams. We are complementary to Godot Wild Jam because that one is every single month. We're not having the dates on the same time. So I especially arranged the dates so it doesn't interfere with Godot Wild Jam, and also we have GMTK, which is a huge jam, and we don't want to bother anyone. Okay. The main purpose of this is, of course, to promote Godot, to dispel misunderstandings, because there are a lot. I've seen, like right now in my Discord, by the way, join Discord if you haven't done so, that people are still struggling to understand Godot. And with this stream, it's exactly that. I mean, it's exactly targeted for people that are coming from Unity and have a lot of game development center. I don't know about. I mean, like there are a lot of Godot creators. I try to reach as many as possible, as you saw in the official video, in the official launch video. But probably I haven't reached all of them. So the purpose of this jam is to onboard new people, to promote Godot, to dispel misunderstandings, because there are a lot of them, and create awareness for the engine. So if that's interesting, then this is what we're gonna do. So with that said, I'm gonna jump right into the show, the main show of this. And the main show is actually moving or transitioning from Unity to Godot. And in this case, I have prepared a list of things that I want to discuss that will hopefully onboard you faster in Godot, because there are some different ways, different workflows. So of course they're quite hard if you got used to working with Unity or Unreal. It's not a comparison which workflow is the best. We are not looking into that. They're just completely different. And I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do in order to get started really fast with Godot. So with that said, let's move on to the main attraction of the day. I don't want to waste anyone's time. So please do tell me if you can hear me right now. This is another scene. So hopefully that works as well. But Godot already has a page in the manual called Unity to Godot. And probably if you transitioned or you are considering transition, you have checked this page. But this page, from my point of view, we'll discuss about Node and components and stuff like this. Salary cat, we'll discuss about that. But I think this page just scratches the surface of the differences between Unity and Godot. So what I want right now is to dive a little deeper and to actually show you some functionalities that are completely different and like the completely different way of thinking when using Godot. So yeah, this is for you to know. It's quite easy to find if you go to the Godot engine documentation from Unity engine to Godot, and you have this one. It's a good starting point, but it's definitely is just a starting point. So hopefully with this stream, we'll get more stuff figured out as we go, and we can make it much more comprehensive. So once you open up Godot, this is what you get. So this is not so different from Unity, I would say. It looks quite similar because we do have the scene hierarchy, which is very similar to Unity. We have the project where you have your resources, like your 3D models or 2D textures or whatever you want. And then the main scene, which is the... you can find all the Discord links in the about section in the on the web page. Of course. Oh, hi Kevin Fogg. Cool. Yeah, keep on this stream because we'll go and you can fast track Godot quite quickly with this. So yeah, regarding Discord, we have a lot of partner servers. Of course, it's my stream, so I'll shamelessly plug in my server. So yeah, it's Redefine game dev server. So of course, I do recommend you to check all the partner servers, but yeah, go and also check my server. Okay, moving forward, we have here some parts which are the main important windows. But one difference that it has, I feel it's this upper menu, which switches from 2D to 3D and to script. And this is where the first major difference is, and I want to point out that Godot does have two different rendering engines, one for 2D and one for 3D. So is this good or bad? Well, in comparison to Unity, Unity has basically the same rendering engine, but they just removed one axis. So some people might struggle, like for example, making pixel perfect games in Unity. Of course, there are assets on the asset store that help you with that, but Godot does this out of the box. So of course, I'm going to point out the differences because this is what we have. And nicely in this script tab, you mostly can write code in GDScript. And this is a Unity to Godot transition. But you'll be surprised to know that I actually transitioned from Unity myself to GDScript instead of C#. And you might ask, wait a second, Adrian. I mean, you're familiar with C#, so why did you move to GDScript? Well, there are a couple of reasons with that. So probably, yeah, the invite links are on the main website, Go Godot Jam. I'm actually gonna put it quickly because yeah, some people are interested. So yeah, go here, Go Godot Jam about, and of course so if you want to see me more, go to Redefine Game Dev. Of course, I recommend other partners. They're really awesome people, all of them. So yeah, join them and join their channels as well. So moving forward, why did I pick GDScript? So GDScript is more like Python, but people say, oh, it's Python, but it's not Python. It's similar to Python, but it has its own language, and this is what it was Godot intended to use with. Of course, if you need optimizations and stuff like this, you can move lower level to C# or C++, but you'll find that GDScript is a little higher level as Python is to C#, and this means less code to do particular things. So that's, yeah, I mean, why not try it? At least give it a try, because most games I've seen can work really fine with GDScript. So and also it's nice, it has a tight integration with the editor, so you don't actually have to use a separate text editor, code editor like Visual Studio Code or any other editor that you like, because no, it's I wouldn't say it's C++ with Python syntax. I think they have, I'm not sure, so I think I've seen somewhere that they have C++ bindings that are used to create all the support for scripting languages. But that's about it. I don't want to say too much of this because I will be talking without knowing the subject into detail. So, but what I can say for sure, I've seen a lot of games be made with just GDScript and they just work just fine. So you don't have to worry. Okay, so moving on. Moving on with the script. Oh, by the way, you can learn this from the documentation or from the YouTube channels. We have compiled a huge list of learning material on our website. I posted the link in the comments. Of course, not in about section, but in the learn section. And of course, the first ones are from our partners. So moving on to 3D, because this is what I like. I mean, Godot is a super solid 2D engine, an engine for 2D games, and most people think that it's just for 2D games because most games made with Godot are 2D. And I'm here to dispel this myth together with Canopy Games and a lot of other partners that are making 3D games or making 3D courses for Godot, and showing people that, hey, wait a second, you can make 3D. It's right now, OpenGL ES is not as powerful as DirectX, but Godot 4 will come with the Vulkan renderer, which will rival DirectX and hopefully will get much more better 3D stuff. But that doesn't mean that right now it's not really good, because it's really good right now as is. But of course it will be much more better. So one thing here regarding when you start a project, this is, if you come from Unity side mostly, you'll notice that there is this thing with node-based system. And what is the node-based system? And here is basically the main difference between Unreal, Unity, and Godot. In Unity, because this is Unity to Godot, we have prefabs and scenes and game objects, but yeah, you can convert game objects to prefabs. But think of it as this: the prefabs and the scenes and the game objects are all nodes. Yes, that's right. So everything is a node, and that sounds kind of crazy. I mean, with this logic, we can have the full level inside a player, and it's possible. With Godot, that's possible, and that's crazy. And the main difference here is the fact that Godot uses something called declarative programming instead of imperative programming, which is used in Unity and Unreal. So what does this mean? It's that nodes are not actually, I would say, one-on-one with Unity's game objects or Unreal's actors in this case. They are more components. So I would say if you would try to compare them one-on-one, they would mean each component that Unity has in a way, then that's a node. So that's kind of like the difference that we are looking at. So let's see how does that translate, and how we can actually make stuff here, how we can actually rig stuff up, and what are the differences. Because one thing here, we have only one script per node, and that might scare you because you come from Unity, which has a lot of scripts per game object. So that sounds kind of crazy. Like, how can we do a full game with one script per node? But well, in fact, it's quite possible. So let's get going, because just seeing an empty screen is not that appealing. So I've created a node called spatial, and most of the nodes that are in the scene are of course extended from spatial. So this is kind of the base class if you'd compare it. And to make a cube, for example, we need to create a new node. And as you can see, I clicked on this plus icon, and there are like a lot of new nodes here. And the node that we are looking for is called mesh instance, and this is for 3D. And this will create an empty mesh instance. And you say, okay, but I don't go like to game object, create cube or something. No, we create a mesh instance. And then if I go to mesh, I can actually select where I can load externally, because this is how we actually import 3D objects. We do the same thing, but we also can create a cube mesh, and boom, we have a cube. So this is how we can have a cube in the game. Of course, there are a couple of different ways that you can achieve it. For example, if you want to create a map, there's a much nicer way to do it called CSG meshes, but we won't go into that one. I'm just pointing it out. And hey, Jay the Pingu, hey, welcome to the stream. One thing here to note is, for example, if I want to give this cube a color, and this is one difference from Unity. For example, in Unity, if we create a cube and we want to give that cube a different color, what we will need to do is to create a material and drag and drop that material or put it in the inspector to the object. And in here it's a little different because, oh yeah, I'm sorry about the cam. Just gonna delete the border. I'm gonna put the cam here. Thank you, Sadripa. Thank you for telling me this. Yeah, of course, I just mentioned CSG meshes, and I hope now you can see the inspector properly. I'm sorry for that, but the mesh, this is another cool thing. So you can revert by pressing this small arrow. So this is how I created the new mesh. And for material, and this is what I like about Godot especially, is that you, of course, you click on the material, and you go like for spatial material, and then boom, you have a material. And of course, you can adjust a lot of parameters, but in this case, I'm just gonna, hey, Play Fursifer, welcome to the stream. So of course, I can adjust the color. But one thing to note here, that this material is just for this object. It's not in the project files. So we can, by leveraging this system, we can have individual components on the fly. So that's kind of cool. So of course, if we want this material to be reusable, we can save it. So of course, we can save it. So let's say cube material. So this is what you'll have in Unity. You'll have a cube material. And let's say I'm going to create a new mesh instance quickly. I'm going to move this a little, and I'm going to create a new cube mesh. So of course, now I can simply... I'll show GDScript. I'll show GDScript as well. But we'll take it one step at a time, because of course there are some things we need to mention before. So don't worry, we'll cover GDScript as well. A little, of course. We cannot cover the full engine in a short stream. So this is how we can create a new material. But of course, now if I go here and change it, both of the materials change, as in Unity. But now there is this functionality. Yeah, it's pretty clear. There's a difference, but in fact, in Godot, you don't need that specification of the stage and the game object. And I mean, you just, in the end, in all of these systems, this is just a tree, and the stage or the main scene is just the root node, which is also a node in the end. They prefer to call it a stage. But actually, Godot offers you more power, because you can actually take this one and use it for other purposes. You might use the scene in another scene, or whatever you want to do. Of course, you need to have additive scenes. Yeah, probably Pogo you can learn. So if you want to go back with the material, you can make unique and right click it, make unique, and then you'll have different material for this object. Of course, it's just for this object, and you need to save it if you want it for something else. But now let's move on to the next point. So, and I think we can go with some scripts and also some more debunking of what the nodes are, because this is the main topic. So I'm going to save this, and when I'm going to save this, this is actually the main scene, so I'm going to call it main scene. And the TSCN extension is for text scene in this case. I'm going to save it, and now we do have the main scene. Good. And yeah, it's an arbitrary node. Yeah, exactly. So a scene is just a node, and you can interchange nodes. And as we move forward with this, you'll find out that it's quite a powerful system, and you can do a lot of stuff with it. And now we've as creating the scene, we do have more options. As you can see, now it's main scene, and this is how we can see what's going on. But I want to move to the script now. So in order to attach a script to a node, there is this, of course, you have to select it. You can either go script here in the inspector and go new script, or you can click this one and create this. And I'm going to say main scene script because this is just the main scene script. And already we can see that we can attach only one script per node. So that's kind of the thing here. But now if I hit F3 on the keyboard or hit this one, I go into script editing mode. And here there are some boilerplate code, I would say. But I'll just remove this stuff, and we can just write hello world. I'm going to save it. And now one thing that people probably have some issues is, okay, how do we run a scene? And this is interesting because this power that Godot offers out of the box means that you can run just the player. And I'm going to show you what I'm saying. So if I try to run now the whole project, it will say that no main scene has been defined. Of course, we can just select it and it will run the current scene. But you can change it later in the project settings under the application category. If you want to run the current scene without putting it to main project or something, or you have more scenes and you don't have to change to put it default for the project, you can just hit this button, which is play scene, F6, and of course it will play. But it won't show anything because you need the camera as well. So I'm gonna use the shortcut, which is Control A, to create a new node, and then I'm gonna select the camera, and this is a camera, and I can rotate it. So this is very similar to Unity. Of course, I can see the preview of it, and now since I have this preview, I can actually check and see, okay, we have this, and it's nice. So we have a scene, we have a camera. I'm gonna close it. I'm just gonna go fast and show you the project settings. So the project settings in run. So project settings in run, you can actually say what's the main scene, and you can select the main scene. And now with F5, it will run this scene as the main scene. And it will show, of course, I'm not saying C++ or C# or GDScript one is better than the other. I'm saying that the developers intended GDScript to be the main language of Godot. And one thing to note here, Unreal Engine 5, from what I've heard up until this point, they're also going to provide their own scripting language. So this is kind of a thing. I mean, if we are moving in this direction, then, well, that's it's probably they'll not, once a big engine, like a really solid engine that has power, will have a scripting language, then GDScript will have more, will be much more relevant in a lot of more people's eyes. So regarding the main scene, we have the scene, we have the node, and we are running the script. And I quickly want to add some scripts. So I would say cube1. And I want to point a nice feature that in Unity we don't have, and or we do have, but it's kind of not so great. Let me quickly check. So cube1, cube2. So now if I run the scene, it will say cube1, cube2, and hello world. And yeah, of course, dynamically written are kind of a pain point. I would say this has some completion, so it's not as you would write without knowing anything. As I mean, in Python probably that's the case, but here you do have some typing, so that's kind of nice. But one thing to note here is that the script's executed in a particular order, and in Godot, basically the tree executes in a particular order, and in Unity to have this script order execution, you'd have to go into, oh, you don't see the output. Oh, damn it. I'm sorry. I'm just going, you know what? Because I'll be moving stuff around here. So I'm just going to close the full webcam. And we're going to go with that. But it's cube1, cube2, and hello world. Hello world is from this spatial. So of course, if I would parent this mesh cube1 to cube2 basically, and now I run the scene, it goes as deep as possible, and then it goes back and back and back, and it executes. And to get kind of like this flexibility with script execution, no, it's important. The output, it's important in this case because it's about the script execution order. And in Unity, to get the script execution order so easily, I would say it's a pain because you only have settings in the project settings, and you have to specify some numbers which represent the order of the script, but there are other scripts as well there, so it's kind of getting messy if you have multiple scripts and you want to make them work together. But yeah, that's the main point. One other thing here, now that we have scripts, and it's also why I needed to introduce them, because the next step is to show you one of Godot's main powers. So one of the main powers of Godot is actually specialized nodes, and they have, hey Ariane, hey, how are you doing? The specialized nodes have functionalities already written, low level, so that means they're fast. You don't have to write them yourself. So for example, I'm going to show you a node called timer, and I really enjoy this node. I can show you how it works. Hey, I'm good. Basically what the timer does is it waits a particular amount of time. It can auto start, and at the end of this time it will give an event. And while doing so, I'm going to show you how the timer works, how you can set it up, and how to rig it with the scripts. One way. There are more ways to do it. So of course, if I select the timer, you'll see in the inspector I can say the wait time. Yeah, but I'll show you into more detail, and it will get clearer with nodes, because nodes are more like components in Unity. And once we get to the physics, you'll understand why I'm saying that. So I'm going to put this timer to auto start, and I'm going to go to the node section, and in here we get this new functionality. In Unity, for example, we have Unity events, we have C# events. I think we do have some other types of events, and I think it can get quite messy quite fast, especially for someone that doesn't know. They just starts up with an engine. So in here, of course, there is this timeout event which I'm interested, which is called the signal, but it's an event. So if I double click it, it will say, hey, where do I want to send this event, to which script? And I'm gonna say I want it to the main scene for some reason. Yeah, you know, if you have a player controller script, you would attach it to player node. Probably, I mean, the signals, I'll show you how they work, because for example, now I want to connect, Yeah, exactly. Marco, you're right. You can add a script to like a child to the node with the character controller. But now we're gonna show the signals. So I'm just gonna go with this. This is kind of like the standard note, the standard naming way of Godot in terms of timers. You can put it yourself. I'm gonna hit connect, and now in the main scene we get this function, and I'm gonna say here timeout. Okay, I'm gonna remove this. I'm not gonna use this ready. You cannot have a function like this in Python as well. You need a pass, so you need to call this pass. Of course, you'll get a small error. I'm gonna put pass here as well. Of course, I can just delete it, but maybe later we need it, so I'm not sure. So if I go like this, and of course if I run it now, I just need to make it shorter because no one wants to wait 1 second. So we just put it 0.25, and I'm gonna run it because it's on auto start. So if I just click, now we'll get timeout, 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 etc. Of course, if I want it one shot, only once, and I click it, now it's gonna be one time. But what can this be used for? Oh, we can have, in this case, if it's, as you see, is timeout, 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 you can, no, it doesn't, that's the thing, Salary Cat, you don't need a lot of code in the same script. You need to break the code up into smaller parts, each one being a node. So that's kind of like the power of Godot, that it kind of enforces modularity by default, and you can reuse code. So in this case, we have a lot of timeouts. We can use this for, let's say, shooting a weapon and having the weapon cool down. If it's one shot, and let's say it's like 1 second, this might be like a projectile life timer. So we shoot a projectile, it waits 1 second, and then makes the projectile disappear. So of course, there are unlimited functionalities we can do with this, and I'm gonna quickly show. But of course, now I need to remove it from. I'm gonna disconnect it from the first main scene, and I'm gonna connect it to a cube, because I'm gonna show you how we can actually like remove projectiles in this way. So I'm gonna say one shot, 0.25, auto start on. And now it's in cube 1. So there is a function called Q3. This means that when the event is reached, when the timer gets to 0, then this cube will be be deleted permanently from the scene. So let's see how that works. Okay, so now it's deleted. It was almost instantaneously because it's 0.25 and I couldn't. But now it's 1 second, so boom, in 1 second it's gone. So this is how we can do like projectile disappearing, or weapon cooldown, or whatnot. You name it, we can have it. Cool. I want to point out some other cool nodes because I think they're awesome. Another one which I really enjoy is called camera. It's called actually spring arm. And what this node does, so I'm going to put the camera quickly in 0, 0, 0. You see, I found the transform component and put it to 0, 0, 0. And now the spring arm, it actually, so in Unity to obtain the same feature, you need to put the camera parented to a game object and then kind of like move it manually. But in here, I'm just gonna adjust the spring arm's length. And by doing this, we'll get like this. You see this small line. Of course, I need to adjust it like this. So this automatically, I would say, because that's how it goes. You can automatically move the camera as well. So if I check now the camera, of course it's a little rotated because I need to change the camera rotation, of course. And I need to actually check to see what the camera is doing. Unfortunately, this rotation is all messed up. So I'm gonna reset the rotation. I'm gonna put the camera. I think the camera points the other way. So just gonna move the camera a little. Just gonna, if I run it now, of course, we will get this effect. And by the way, if you want to adjust on the fly, so let's say I want to adjust on the fly to see how it looks, you can actually adjust and it will adjust while, hey Cyan, hello, welcome. You can adjust the spring arm. So with that said, I think we can move on to the next part. And there are a couple of things that I want to point out. So of course there is the input system that we are going to be covering a little, how we can actually do that. We'll cover a little how to put in physics and collisions, and of course how to create these prefabs which are actually nodes. So let's get started. So for input, what we can do is go to project settings, and here you get the input map, and we already have a lot of commands binded, but I'm gonna quickly go through all of them. I'm gonna close them because we will put some new ones. So I'm gonna put move left. I'm gonna use, for this I'm gonna put A and move right, and for this I'm gonna put D because I like the WASD keys, so we're gonna go with that. So now I'm gonna use this cube to implement the movement. So for movement, we can use, of course there are a lot of ways to implement the movement. Godot does provide character controller in a way called kinematic body, but we'll just use the mesh instance, which is a class. Oh, by the way, if you hit control, if you hold control and you click this one, you can go into the manual and you see like the mesh instance is actually from the spatial node. So everything that you see in the scene is from the spatial node. So in here, I'm just going to put process because that's the main process. Wait a second. Okay, and this one is called every single frame. Of course, the delta is the time delta, which you would have in Unity. And in here, I'm going to put, of course, this is not optimal code, but it does the work just fine. So is action pressed? And as you can see here, it takes all the information from the bindings, and I can just like type automatically put in the move left functionality. So here I can just say translate, and you see it's very similar to Unity in this regard. I'm gonna multiply it with delta and with a speed, and I'm gonna have the speed to declare variables. Yeah, it's like this. It's like var a b var speed. Actually, you can call it float. You see here, so this is one thing that you can actually specify the type if you want. The type is not mandatory, but yeah, if you're coming from C#, you might just want to do that. So translate. Oh, you know what? I forgot this. So why is now the best time to switch? Well, God of War is coming very, very soon. So now is the best time to switch. And why to switch? Well, because I think this is a really solid engine, and yeah, it basically gives you control over all your game. It's not a proprietary one where, yeah, that's kind of the main difference. So there are other differences, but they're more nuanced. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to move the camera to another angle. So the spring arm to rotate, by the way, it's the same gizmos. I don't know if it's yeah, exactly. Celery Cat, you pointed right. I have a video why Godot 4 is gonna do something big. So yeah, I think that's one way to go. Right now you can see I'm just clicking the keys and it moves. So we have the movement functionality quite easily implemented with where is this, with this kind of logic. Of course, we can put this outside and put a separate translate, so that works as well. But yeah, it works like this, so no problem. By the way, since this is kind of Python syntax, we cannot have this kind of thing. And one I'm not saying it's a problem, but I would say in my lifetime as a programmer in Unity, I've seen so many cases where people write like this, the code, and it's mega frustrating when I see this. So, of course, we don't have brackets, as you can see, but the other problem, this language as Python, it doesn't allow you to have this. And well, I say, oh, why do I have to have this? Well, this, yeah. With this kind of thing, it enforces you to write proper maintainable code, because if you're in a team and you see bad maintainable code and you worked 6 months on that project and it's big, it will be a pain. So trust me, it will be a pain. Okay, I'm not saying good code cannot be written in C#. I'm saying that it 100% sure you can write it. The problem is, I don't know the reasons exactly, laziness or other reasons, but sometimes the code doesn't turn out so nice as is intended. And now to move on, I want to point out a couple more things regarding Godot. So one of them is how we can use physics. And in this case, I'm going to quickly remove the scripts from both. So I clicked on the cube instance. Actually you know what, I'm going to name them cube 1 and cube 2 because that's more obvious. So I clicked here script, and there was a small rounded arrow that I used to turn the script off. I'm gonna remove the timer because you don't need it. And now let's create physics and to make the objects interact with each other. So this is probably one part which will get a little confusing, but stay with me, we have everything covered, so don't worry about that. Okay, so for here, to enable physics on this, it's not like I can go here and drag a component, because if you remember from the beginning of this stream, I said that nodes are like components. So in this case, I do have to create a component called rigid body. And with this created, now I can drag and drop the cube underneath it. But the problem is, you see there's a small node configuration warning here. So it says that it needs a collision shape and that's basically what we're gonna. So even the collision shape, as you can see, it's not attached to the rigid body, as it in Unity, rigid body would be a component, collision shape would be another component, but here it's separated. And as you see, this is how kind of like Godot treats nodes and components. They're kind of one of the same. So of course, I'm gonna give here the collision shape a box. I need to make sure this is the cube. I'm gonna give it a collision. I need to also make sure that that this one doesn't move. Let me try it like this. I think it doesn't move. And now for the second one, I'm gonna do the same. For a second cube, I'm gonna put it here, collision shape. You see how fast, if you know the shortcuts, you just Control A, create node. This is kind of one of the things that is kind of nice. Wait 1 second. I need the rigid body needs to be one-on-one with the cube. So of course I need to yeah, Mercy. Yeah, there are a lot of tutorials about Unity, but here at Go Godot Jam, this is exactly what we are gonna do here. Yeah, we are putting learning content for Godot for 1 full month. Of course, we're going to continue to do that, but like for every single day of the month, this is what's Godot Go Jam for. So Go Godot Jam for. Now that I have this also, probably they'll this one will fall because this one has gravity, and you can see it pushes this one because this one should be kinematic. I think we will have support for Godot in a lot of things. We just need to push for the support. The support won't automatically come. The Godot team has much more less money than Unity and Unreal. So of course they are doing their best, but we as a community need to push it so they can have more funds, so we can enjoy a better engine in the end. So this is how two objects interact. Okay, yeah, the stream dropped. Okay, but now it works, so that's good. So now the objects do interact with each other. Yeah, but we are here to dispel the myth that Godot tutorials don't exist. They exist, and we are here to prove to you that they exist, and there are a lot of there are actually a lot of tutorials out there, so you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, by the way, there are ports. You can port your game to the Switch with a third-party company, and a lot of people, for example, I think the developer of the first 3, he made his game in Unity, but he used some companies to port over his games to the consoles. So not most, but some developers do prefer this way because it's a lot of work. I myself know for a fact that it's not that easy to port something. I've been speaking with a developer that ported a big game to Switch, I think, and he had a full team of people working on porting that game. So it's not as straightforward just changing the platform and hitting publish and that's it. Your game is on console. No, it's not like that. In most cases, it's definitely not like that. But yeah, now one issue that that people have in Godot, and I think this is a little frustrating, and it creates confusion, and it's still probably it will get not fixed, addressed, because this is a different way of working. So for example, let's say you are working with these cubes, and at some point you want to have this cube disappear. So of course you toggle the visibility, and now you think, okay, so this should actually disable this. So when I run the scene, this object should fall right through it, right? But the fact is actually it just turns off the visibility, and this is kind of frustrating for people coming from Unity. And I've actually searched a lot on the internet about this problem. It's just not a problem, it's a little different. I couldn't find a full fix as Unity has disabling, but I did find an alternative. I will show you here how to do it. Of course, it implies a little... first, I'm going to show you the quick way to do it. So, and then I can show you a way to do it that kind of like works... to be it more generic, so it can be used to other things as well. So in here, it will be in 4.0, but in case, I mean, I've gotten comments on my channel saying Godot doesn't have this feature, so I found an alternative. So if you want to get Godot right away and you encounter this problem, we have a fix. So it's, you just call remove child, and basically, no, it's not this, is self. So by using this, but of course, oh, wait a second. Now this type is rigid body, so I need to change this one. Yeah, it will come in Godot 4, but up until that point, and unfortunately I need to put this in process. If there are more advanced Godot developers, I'm not super advanced. I have 6+ years in Unity. I moved recently to Godot, but this is what I could figure. Yeah, exactly. But you know, another thing I would say that's quite funny related to Godot is that actually in the latest patch, in the latest update, they introduced copy pasting of nodes, and that's crazy. It's kind of crazy. So if you want to have a node removed but still here, you can use this kind of script to do that. By the way, by calling remove child, you are not removing the object, you're not destroying the object is still there, it's just not processed anymore. To remove permanently an object, you would use queue free. This case, and then of course the alternative is yeah, exactly, you need to use Fernando, you're right, to remove the object is to use queue free. But in this case, no, actually it's much more than disable the physics body. Yeah, I mean I want a fix that works out of the box, and I found it, and I can quickly, because I have the code, so luckily for me I don't have, and I'll show you how we can create a nice fix that I would call it Unity in Godot fix. So to do this, we'll create a new node from scratch called, well, of course, I'm going to create a spatial because I'm going to call it, I'm going to create a spatial. I'm going to put it here. And I'm going to call it hide me. So yeah, this is kind of a hacky way. And I'm going to call it hide me as well. I'm going to, would say, paste some code here. But what this does is that if I put the hide me in a node, so if I put it here, for example, so it gets the parent of this, which is the rigid body, and the parent of that is the spatial. And if it's not visible, so it checks the visibility of this one. And if it's not visible, then I create a timer. You can create a timer on the fly. And then this is the part where you create the timer. I showed you can create the timer as well as a node, but I told you there's another way to do it. And by the way, this is the other way. And yield, it exactly does as in Unity. It just waits for the timer's timeout. And then the parent of parent just removes the child. And then, of course, we remove the timer. So, for example, this case is quite nice because if I run it now, I see the cube. And then if I disable visually this, then actually this functionality works. So, yeah, this is kind of like hacky. And, of course, now this node, I can make it. Of course, I need to. I want to actually save branch as a scene, so I can say hide me. And you see everything is a node or a scene. It's the same. The scene is just the node open, I would say. So now, if I close this, if I delete this, and I can just put it here. I can just put it here, and I can just now it won't have any effect. But if I just do this, then wait a second, it was the other one. No, it's okay, this one. So yeah, this is kind of a weird fix, but it works. I'm gonna leave the code a second. If you're interested in this, of course, Godot 4 is gonna fix this a proper way. But until then, people that come from Unity might have this function, this weird contraption, which probably is not the way to do it. Yeah, it will save some long Googling sessions, I would say, which is kind of like, yeah, it's kind of yes, the fix works because you can, of course, not exactly, I don't know if exactly this would work, but you can remove the object. If you remove the node with this functionality, if you remove it with remove child from the parent, the node still exists in the memory, in the RAM. So you can add child. So if I say parent of parent, add child, and then boom, I get back that object. And this is not as instantiating a new object, because what this does is actually just attaching into the tree. So this scene tree is what it does more things, but the main things that it does, it renders everything in this, and then it runs the scripts out of everything. It runs the physics, and it runs other systems. But imagine that these nodes are only the nodes attached to the scene tree, but they are not all the nodes that are currently running in the game. We also have the nodes that can be removed from the scene tree, but they're still there. So we can quickly access them and put them back in here if we want that. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create out of this rigid body a player. So I'm gonna say player. I'm gonna show you some cool stuff. So right click, save branch as seen, and then yeah, it's already set, so it's player. So now if I double click the player, I enter the player kind of view. And this is like where the power of Godot works, because since this is a scene, since the player is a scene, I can just boom, I can run the player. Of course, it doesn't have a camera. In some cases where you have like a third person shooter, or where the camera is outside, you can actually attach a camera node to the player without any issues, and you can run the player. This is just the player, so of course it doesn't have the movement anymore, unfortunately, because I removed it. Yeah, I removed the movement. I wanted to show you the movement, but I removed it, so we cannot see that. But yeah, I can run the player, and the interesting part is that I can actually drag the main scene, so that would be the main level, into the player. And yeah, and this, oh wait a second, this is the script is GD. This is the main scene. Oh yeah. Oh, so yeah, if the node is already in the scene, I cannot do that because it will create a loop. So I'm gonna quickly create a new 3D scene, and I'm gonna put some random cubes. I'm just gonna put a cube and call it a level. You can change the scaling of this. Yeah, it's not a scene. Yeah, I know. I noticed. Made a mistake there. So now I can put the scene 2 basically in the player. So we can do that. I don't know the purpose of this. I mean, this is possible because of how the engine works. I don't know if it has any useful purposes. You tell me if you found any useful purposes, but I'm just gonna delete it. But yeah, this is basically possible. So yeah, we can do that, no problem. I'm gonna remove the camera as well, because we're not gonna run the player on its own. We can run the scene, the main scene as is intended to be. And basically this is it. And one, yeah, Leonardo, yeah, this hide show functionality, we got to fix for it. Of course, people say, I've seen in forums, in you have to put like pause mode and that, but it doesn't work like with all the stuff. And this fix that I found, we have, of course, with a lot of search, it just works. One last thing that I wanted to show you is actually, I'm going to need the key. So I'm going to say accept. I'm going to use the space key. So for the accept, we're just going to, of course, I would say just pressed. And I like to test my stuff so you can see how easily is to debug things. And of course it's not working because I put it in already, and it should be in process, of course. So you see how easily I moved from the code to the actually testing the game in Unity. You need a little time until the code compiles again, and like the assemblies are remade and stuff like this. And I've read, and also I can say that myself, I've reached the flow state. So the flow state is a state where you forget about time and you focus only on the project at hand, because you have everything included. So this is why I say that try GDScript, because it's properly embedded in this editor, and you don't need to alt tab your way through this. You can just do everything here. So that's really powerful. But what I wanted to show you here is actually in the main scene, I'm going to remove the player, and I'm going to remove the rigid body as well. I want to show you how Godot, no, you don't have to, you cannot like, Sericat, you cannot like just remove the collisions and stuff. I mean, you can remove a lot of stuff, but then it just complicates things. It's not just one button press. So with this, yeah, I don't feel, yeah, Godot doesn't have occlusion cooling, but I don't feel that that's a major blocker into making a game. I feel that, yeah, you can make your own if you want to create a massive scale game, or I don't know. But in most cases, in most games, for example, if you do a top down or some 2D game, or even a lot of 3D games like regular shooters, you don't need all the time occlusion cooling. Of course, if the scene gets bigger and you get a lot of problems because you cannot render all the objects. But I don't feel that's a major blocker, at least for me, and I've seen a lot of games made with Godot. Of course, for bigger studios, that is a major blocker. So this is why you are not seeing AAA or AA games with Godot. So what I want to show you is how I want to show you how to instantiate object in the scene. And for this to happen, we can use it. I'm going to show you the quick way, which has problems. So this instantiate is exactly how in Unity you would instantiate like a projectile or an enemy. Yeah, exactly. You can start making a game now. So I'm going to call it player. Just prefab, player prefab, because there's this function called preload, and we can actually specify the resource from the scene. And here, instead of this, I'm gonna put player prefab dot instance. Okay, so this is how we create a new instance of, and of course, if we just write this, if you remember, we are still talking about the hidden object thing in chat. So this is quite a good point right now. If I would play this and I would click accept, which is space key in my opinion, in my configuration, this will be instantiated in the memory. So I need to put it in the scene, in the scene tree, which is this one. Yeah, exactly. It's an on-off switch solution. Yeah, we have one button basically. So scene get root. This is how we can get, and then add child. And you see it's exactly add child, what we discussed before. So I'm just going to put the instance. And by doing this, wait a second, cannot preload. What am I missing? What am I missing? Maybe I'm wait a sec. I don't exactly know why it cannot preload the scene. If someone knows, please do tell me, because you might test it. It was possible. Let's see. So the player is correct. Is here, but now I want to preload the player. So Godot people, please do tell me what's wrong. Why is it not working? Because on ready. Oh yeah, cool. Wait a second. No, in my code it's not already. In my code there's in my because I prepared code for this. It shouldn't be on ready. Okay. That's cool. I didn't know that, but I put in the correct path. So by the way, if you yeah, no, it's in the correct path. It's cannot preload resource from. Yeah, let's try that. So on ready ready. Why ready. Okay, just do it like this. Hope this works. Yeah, no problem. So this is how we load the resource. Okay, cool. It instantiated it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it compiled, but it was just a problem with preloading. So now it works. But now one problem that I found And of course, I'm going to give you a solution because I like also pointing out issues and pointing out fixes. So let's say your project gets bigger and you realize, hey, wait a second, I don't want to fill everything with stuff here. I want to make it, I want to put like in the player inside the folder. And now I move the player here because why not? Yeah, I move the player here. And of course, if I run the code, boom, problem. It's not possible. So how can we fix this? Of course, we cannot fix this problem because this is kind of like set in stone, but we can prevent this kind of problem to appear. And for this, we need to create variables that show in the inspector, as in Unity would have. You need to create it public or called serialized field. But in here we call export, and then there's this resource path that's call it like this, and then I don't think we need to actually load it anymore this time. I'm just gonna go with this. I'm gonna go with my gut feeling. So in here, I'm just gonna go and drag the player here. Put this to test, and it works. But now, the cool thing about this is if I move this around. So let's say I reparent this, and it says this, but yeah, don't worry, just clear it. Yeah, I know. This is the same problem, I would say, with renaming. So if you rename like this, or you have to rename it like this. If you rename it like this, it should change in all the other parts. But if you drag and drop, it works much more better. So it's not, I would rather prefer not to have hard-coded strings. I mean, this is just from my software development experience. Hard-coded strings are not good. But in this case, for example, for input system, you cannot mess it up because you get auto completion almost the same time you press you finish typing is action, just pressed, or you get this auto completion automatically. So that's kind of cool because you don't have to worry about this. So that's that. And then of course other stuff, for example, yeah, we can just drag and drop and then we get this path. But if we change the name and if we don't change it properly, then we might get issues. Of course, yeah, you can use packed scene. There are a lot of ways to do it, but this is just one way to do it. So some major pain points would be moving objects around and losing the references. I had this problem. The other one was, of course, disabling objects. I had this problem, kind of fixed it. Yeah, kind of this is what I also like found on the internet. So the thing is, right now on Godot, you have to dig a lot to get. I mean, the resources are out there. You have to dig a lot. So I feel that's kind of the problem. I think that just having information right out at your fingertip, like Unity does, is a bonus. But we are here exactly to fix that as much as possible. I think I've covered most stuff for this, but I want to do a Q&A session because there are a lot of questions and I want to go through them a little more. Let me see if there is stuff that I want to point out right out of the bat. So as I told you, Godot does have nodes. So what I would say is, one last thing, because also before we dive into the Q&A session, I want also to point out how to import 3D objects. So yeah, Godot does support a lot of different object types, but yeah, for example, I have this small ship that don't worry about the stream. You arrived just in time. We're gonna do a Q&A. I have this ship made in Blender. By the way, I love Blender, and by the way, if you know this kind of rendering style, I do suggest you check out Infenzia's channel. He does 3D models in 10 minutes, which is crazy. Of course, they're low poly, but in 10 minutes you can do like a game. Like in a couple of hours, you just say 10 minutes per model, you can do a full game. So I have this object, and yeah, I can export it to Wavefront OBJ or Collada. Actually, Collada does provide materials as well, because I do have the body, windows, and dark materials. And this object, exporting the model. Yeah, I showed. So yeah, you go here, you go to export, and then I would say Collada. I think Collada does export the materials packed in the file. So I have already the model exported, so I can just here is the file. I can just say, oh, player ship, and just move it here, and boom, now I do have the player ship and also the materials. Of course, it's a little messy here, but the object was imported, so that's kind of cool. Of course, you can use other types of, I think if you export OBJ, the materials will not come exported as well. So I like this with Collada. And I would suggest not to use FBX. Unity uses FBX, but FBX is a proprietary system. So you can use this one. It works just fine. And yeah, it's super simple to model in, what's GLTF? Is there something here, or I have to, I'm looking out GLTF. I never exported GLTF in my life, so I don't know what this does. But I'll check it. I don't want to like experiment crazy things, but yeah, I'll check GLTF. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, and now we can move into the Q&A, and I want people that are into by the way, hey there, I want people that use Unity to shoot questions this way or to the chat. Please do point out questions. Please do point out your concerns, because yeah, it's a little different way of working, and yeah, it might a little be hard to get used to it from the beginning, but it's not impossible. And once you get to know it, yeah, it's just crazy the power what you can get with Godot. And also, I haven't mentioned it, but it does have sort of an asset store. It's called an asset lib, where everything is free, and you get a lot of plugins and modules for various things that you can use in your game. For example, like voxel, so you can make like Minecraft games right out of the box without you coding anything, or a lot of other cool stuff. So you go check out the asset lib as well, because it's totally worth it. I think it's quite cool. So please, people that are from Unity, especially, hey Leonardo, what's up? Nice to have you here. People that come from Unity, because this stream is focused towards you. And of course, I really enjoyed spending time also with people that know Godot already, because it's fun to learn new stuff myself. But I want to share from my knowledge and from your knowledge here, what things that you might think that might prevent people from moving. What's your main thing that prevents you from moving to... Yeah, so is Godot mature enough for a bigger 3D game? So I would say, if you look out at what games are made right now, there are a couple of them, like Human Diaspora, I would say, which is a 3D game. Yeah, but I mean, like, if, yeah, exactly, for 3D or AAA, you would need to wait for Godot 4. That doesn't mean, I mean, you can start working on Godot 3. There is quite a small catch that I want to point out. I've already heard that they are changing some stuff in GDScript, so that might not be 100% compatible. So yeah, you can start right now. Another thing is, it also depends on your experience. You think, oh, I want to create this huge project. And that's the kind of like, yeah, everyone wants to create a huge project. But that's kind of the issue. Initially, you want to create small projects, especially if you're just starting out as a game developer. Yeah, wait for Godot 4, but I think Godot 3, don't wait. Go right now. You can do stuff in it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you my small 3D project that I made with Godot just to show you some cool stuff. And I'm also gonna point out a thing that is wrong in the documentation, and you might be interested in finding out what's wrong. So let's quickly go into the game. So this is the small project I've been working on. So what I have here is a small ship that you control with right click by pointing out where to go. Yeah. So don't aim for a AAA. I think you can aim for a small game. For example, this one I did in super short time. But if there was one catch for this, so this ship is actually a rigid body, and Godot does have look at, but it doesn't work with rigid bodies. So they have a fix, but that fix works just for I wouldn't recommend making huge levels, because making huge levels means you need a lot of work and you need to focus on making the gameplay and making the game. And I would say go with the short levels. It's much more doable, and you will end up with a game instead of working on a huge level. I've seen a lot of cases where people buy, for example, world generation plugins for Unity and go and create these massive worlds, but they don't have the necessary content to populate them with quests, with actual buildings. And what ends up in the end is just an empty big world with no functionality, with no whatsoever story. And of course, I'm not saying this is not the case, but infinite stream levels. I mean, this is kind of like the dream, I would say, the new dream of old MMO stuff. Yeah, but I would say create a small game. But it doesn't mean create a small game in scale, but create a small game in functionality, because it's not about the infinity of the world that you create. It's about the fun and how much playtime you can offer to a player. For example, Binding of Isaac. So in Binding of Isaac, you have like small rooms. It's a 2D game. Another game that I enjoy very much is called Hades, which also has some really nice rooms. It's the Division, but it doesn't matter. I mean, in some cases it's quite nice. I think we are the problem I see right now with the game development, and this is for every engine, is that public MMI. I think there is a plugin for you to create voxel words in Godot, and that's really cool because you can create like Minecraft landscapes that run like for a lot of space. So exactly as you said, and also you can create smaller voxels, so you can have much more nicer. But my advice here as a game developer, not as a Godot developer, is to try aim for smaller sized projects, because even the smaller sized projects, for example, I had a challenge from Jonas Tiroler. You probably know him because he's quite public on YouTube, and he challenged me to recreate his games movement, Will You Snail, in Godot, and it took me it was quite fast to work with this. But if you check his devlogs, he actually spent years on making a 2D game. So just imagine Jonas Tiroler, a game developer with experience, with a lot of knowledge and a lot of time to spend on his projects. He couldn't pull off the project earlier than a couple of years. So if he spent a couple of years to making a 2D game, just imagine this putting an infinite world with stuff around. So it's the level of complexity is enormous here, and my thing is try to make something small and try to yeah, I would say yeah, you can go GD native, but you also can go with C sharp if you want to optimize. Go with C sharp and optimize those parts. Yeah, but yeah, GD native probably it's much better, so you can go with that. Okay, other yeah, of course, Jonas is a perfectionist, but I really like his game. One other thing would be if you want to create not a big game, for example, if you want to create a factory kind of game, and a factory type of game requires a lot of background work because there are a lot of stuff moving around. So think of factory, think of satisfactory, um, and that actually gets a lot of background work. So of course you can use threading and stuff, but that would actually have a huge impact on what you can achieve. One issue I had with Unity in the past was changing between rendering pipelines and then configuration. Do you know how they compare to the world environment and procedural generation? Yeah, I would say the rendering pipelines, and it's a complete mess there in Unity, and I feel also that the dot system will also be a little messy. I'm not saying it's bad. I think their idea is really good to have a nice configurable rendering pipeline, but the problem is a lot of beginners get confused by this, and it fragmented the community. Yeah, I feel like the world environment in the sky and stuff like this, I think it's very straightforward in Godot. You do have some post-processing effects, and you have some other stuff. And I've checked, and you can change the render quite fast from OpenGLS 2 to 3 back and forth. So it shouldn't be a problem there. Of course, some effects won't be available. So that is also to mention. But I do hope that Godot in the end doesn't end up so fragmented, and the community is so fragmented, because you have you have a universal render pipeline and the HDRP and the default render pipeline and the assets that you get from the store. Some might work, some might not work, and it's a lot of work to put everything together and make it work. So I hope that this doesn't happen, and as I'm seeing it right now, it won't happen because the community pushes. Yeah, exactly. Godot is more community-based development, and people are actually contributing, so you can go to Git yourself, you can see the code, you can interact with the developers, you can help them by donating to them. It's actually, do you know that Blender has 150,000 US dollars per month from different not Unity, Blender, yeah. And with that money they push a lot of features constantly now since 2.8. Just imagine this money poured into Godot, how much better it can become, and how much of a mature engine it can be to actually make your dream game. But yeah, of course you have to adjust a little your dream game, but this is not because of the engine. This is because what you can achieve. So if you want realistic expectations out of you, and you want to create a game and finish a game, because if you just like look at the first Street creator, so he worked for a simple game, a story-based game, a story-driven game. You could have gotten for free from the Unreal Epic Store. He spent still 2 years with a lot of bought assets from the asset store. So yeah, just imagine having kind of like just with all the assets, and still it took 2 years. And of course the game, it's not like really super polished. It's really good, but it's not that massive polish, so it still took a lot of time probably to like really polish it to the detail. It would have taken him a lot much longer time. So yeah, depends on the time frame that you want to spend on the project. But usually what I've experienced, and what Jonas experienced, because I've also seen his devlogs, is the fact that you initially get super motivated to work on a project, and then after some time that becomes a grind, and then you work on it and you work on it, and then some bugs hit you and some problems and some issues, and then it starts to become a chore, and then you enter up this phase where you have to push through or abandon the project. And this it will happen inevitably with all the projects that you are working with. So of course it's easier to create a smaller project, put it out there, gather a community, have people that provide you ideas, that keep you motivated, because motivation is a serious problem in game development. And by the way, I have a video of motivation on my channel if you're interested in that. I think it's it's kind of crazy how much this mental game actually puts a pressure to us to deliver something. And yeah, when you see days go by and you're not making any progress, and yeah, it's a tough it's a tough experience. But in the end, if it's totally worth it, and game development is probably the most fun thing you can do in your lifetime. Yeah, all of these apply to all of engines. Yeah, I think the community is I think Godot community is really, yeah, exactly. Start small. Another tip that I want to provide, which is some would say yeah, it's not so good, some would say yeah, it's really good. It's actually, you can build on what you already made. So for example, you create a game which has a really low scope, but you think of it like a bigger project. But then you create the first game, and then in the second installment of that game, after you publish it, and you add more stuff to it, to what you already have, or you just repurpose some code and some assets into a new project. And building on what you already achieved greatly reduces the time that you require to work on a project. So that's a really that's really good if you get ideas from old arcade games, because they're easy to implement. By the way, my first game in Godot is a top-down 3D shooter. I also have this in one of my devlogs, how I learned Godot. It's a video on my channel. So yeah, what I did there was, of course, like top-down shooters. Probably if you heard of Tyrion, that was like one of my favorite top-down shooter games. Haven't played so many of them, but that was my absolute favorite. Okay, other questions I showed you how to put objects into the engine, how to deal with the nodes. Of course, it's a little onboarding time. Also, there are ways like how we can communicate between the nodes. That's another struggle. But yeah, there are functions like get parent or get child, or even one other function that I think the C# bindings are super mature. If you check the documentation, you'll see that both GDScript is supported, and also C# does have the documentation. I think the big problem is actually not so many developers working with C#. I do think we might have a stream regarding C# in Godot, because the problem is we don't have coverage in C# so much. Not the binding themselves. The problem is the coverage, like the tutorials and the documentation and stuff like this. So that's where the real true problem becomes much more clearer. But don't forget that if you want to use C#, you actually get a bigger version of Godot that has mono included, and you need to have this C# runtime, and yeah, it's a little messy. So if you can get away with GDScript, that's the way to I don't know if it's possible to edit C# code in Godot editor. Probably, I think it is possible, but it's not, you don't get like the code completion or the stuff you would get with GDScript. So that's kind of like the downside. And I think the way forward, like for I wouldn't recommend VS Code, because of it breaks the flow. You have to alt tab your way into it. You can do that, but you have to alt tab it and you lose the flow. I mean, some people get the flow through that, but you should definitely try the Godot experience and see if you can get into that state where you're productive, where you don't switch the tab to Facebook or Reddit or something else, and you just work on the project. I don't know if there are any plans for GD Native. I don't know if we have partners that know that, but I'll make sure to ask. At least maybe we can, yeah. In Unity, alt tab, and then like you wait until the things get recompiled, and it's just I mean it just breaks the flow. Like you have to wait a second, and also in Unreal it's even more of a pain this, because if you just use Blueprints, which is kind of like a scripting language, but it's much more visual. By the way, if you use if Godot does support visual scripting as well, nobody mentioned it, but it does support as well. If you use C++ in Unreal and the project gets a little bigger, then you can run into issues compiling the whole project because it needs time to recompile again and again. So that's kind of the issues, like with compile times between different engines. And yeah, using a scripting language, since it comes basically after the game already runs, you don't have compile times. So that's kind of the advantage. The disadvantage, the major disadvantage is the fact that, yeah, VS Code is a great editor. I've used it for Unity a lot. I've used it for Python myself. But it's just, you have to alt tab your way. So yeah, don't get me wrong, but alt tab is just a productivity killer. So at least in my opinion. Yeah, of course, yeah. So Chris Keddy says that visual scripting is broken. So yeah, we won't recommend it. There is a visual script supported in Godot, but we won't use it because it's currently broken. That's what I've read from chat, so don't take that as my personal opinion. But I haven't used it, so I cannot say for sure that it's broken or not. I'm more of an old school programmer, so I like to see the code and interact with the code. But yeah, what compiling for what shaders for Godot? I actually haven't used shaders in Godot. I know you can do a lot of stuff, and I can recommend a partner, Play with Furcifer, the channel. They have like a lot of good Godot shader tutorials and effects, so you might be interested in checking them out and see their tutorials and their dev blogs. They're hit 1,000 subscribers in 1 month. In 3 months, my bad. In 3 months, and yeah, I have an interview with them if you're interested in that. Yeah, GDScript is super easy to learn, and also it does offer the opportunity to know Python afterwards. So yeah, with Python you can do a lot of cool stuff. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely check that one as well. But in the end, with this kind of scripting, to put like an end with this debate about scripting, in the end, it doesn't matter the language that you use. And I would say, no, GDScript is not Python. It's comparable to Python. It's inspired by Python. It looks very similar to Python, but it's a standalone language. It has some small... yeah, I wrote the channel name. By the way, in my channel, you have an interview with Play Furcifer, how they achieved, like, what are their skills, how they achieved the subscribers, and much more. So you can check that out. Yeah, GDScript is similar, but in the end, regarding the scripting languages and the programming language, you have to remember this. These are just tools that are there for you to make a game. And you wouldn't, if you'd have to pick between 5 different hammers when you want to nail a nail, yeah, you would just pick one and use it. Of course, some hammers might have like a rubber grip and they're more nicely to grip them, and some hammers might be a little bigger so you can nail the nail with 1 shot instead of 2 shots. But basically, in the end, they're all just tools, like scripts, like languages. So I would never say put effort, put so much passion in a language, because in the end it's just a tool. What is important, what is really important, is for you to achieve your dream game with an engine. And Godot does provide that in a lot of ways. It provides a lot of bindings, but you shouldn't get stuck to a particular language, because in the end you wouldn't get stuck to a hammer. You wouldn't get stuck to a power tool. Uh, you would just use it and then forget about it, because what you care is not how the hammer looks or feels, is the end result, that nail being nailed properly where you want it to hang, like to hang it on the wall or something. That's what you care about, not the tool. The tool is just a tool, and then you throw it away, and that's it. Let's see what other questions. Pranav Sharma, can you make more advanced AI with GDScript? Yeah, you can make more advanced AI with GDScript, though probably you'll hit some bottlenecks quite fast. I actually found a channel, I don't remember unfortunately the name. Someone actually implemented an advanced AI with GDScript, and then they realized like it takes too much processing power, and yeah, it was not feasible. I think for one or two instances at the same time running, or just a couple of them, it shouldn't be a problem. Of course, if it's not look super like rocket science advanced. But in most cases, you don't need. You can trick like the player with easier AI to make, and it will still be great. So you don't have to worry about like more advanced, like really super high advanced AI. Of course, it's nice to have, but usually a lot of games just go with some basic AI with some small adjustments, and they just do just fine. For example, let's say Hades, a game that I played, or Risk of Rain 2, or a lot of games just have the AIs either moving at you and then shooting, or moving close and attacking you directly, or stuff like this. And of course, they have some pathfinding involved, and yeah, it's basically those are the things. I mean, you can go into like deep stuff like goal-oriented action planning, but I think you don't really need it. Yeah, probably min max. by Probably min max algorithms from C++ to C sharp is doable. Uh, Depends for what you want to have them. If you really need them, you can probably have them in GDScript. Yeah. So why bother with AAA games when 99.9 games are not AAA? Yeah, it's actually a good point. I don't think it's worth investing, because you don't have the resources, you don't have the you don't have like the to have like all the assets that are needed. Like just one model for a AAA game takes 1 month or more. So just imagine like having like tens and thousands of models. Yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah, simple AI, I would say. And this is the thing, you don't even need to bother so much with like complex stuff. You just like put your game out there, let people test, and let others tell you what they feel about your game. Because in most cases, you expect something is fun if it's complex, but it might be that something is fun when it's easier, when it has some catch to it. So, for example, a game that I've seen and I like the progress, and it's by the way made with Godot. It's called Gravity Ace, and that one does provide. I mean, it looks nice. It has like super cool interactions. Like all the actions that you do with the world have feedback. So yeah, that's a cool game. By the way, go check it out. Gravity Ace. Yeah, it's also from a Godot creator. He has some really cool devlogs about Godot, so you learn a ton from him. And I usually like to watch Godot devlogs, because people do tell small secrets, like how they achieved different things, and then yeah, you can go from that one. But yeah, from this chat, right now we have 46 users. tell me, the people who use Godot, what programming language do you use? Write in chat, please, and we can make a poll like right now, which is the most used based on this uh, people size, like 46 people. How many of you, and which language do you use? Do you like GDScript, C Sharp? Please do tell me, and let's do a live poll right now to see where we can go with this. Okay, GDScript, one GDScript. Yeah, we have a GDScript. I don't know. Does anyone uses C Sharp from people present here? GDScript. Oh my god. GDScript. Yeah. Well, I would say okay. So we can say GDScript is a winner. So for people that, yeah, public MMI, consider just GDScript for first. And if you don't like it, if you really feel like it's a pain, then you can try C Sharp. But don't just dismiss it based on having prior use to it, because in the end, as I said, it's just a tool. So you have to think about what you want to achieve with it, the game that you want to make with it. By the way, also, much more support is for GDScript in terms of tutorials on the web. So, oh yeah, if you have like specific C Sharp libraries that you use, then yeah, there's no way around it. Yeah, the integration with the editor is crazy with GDScript. Yeah, and for most cases, like for example, Gravity Ace uses GDScript. By the way, he has this kind of like nice editor effect that I think is just super awesome to see. I don't know, has anyone from here like seen any Gravity Ace streams? Because it's yeah, it's kind of fun, like what yeah, the streams. Yeah, exactly. And in the end, I would say the game is also the game engine is also a tool that is made in order for you to create, yeah, to make a game in the end. Yeah, tools can be important, of course. If you have the wrong tool for the wrong task, it can be a pain to work with it. So that's also not what we want. So I would say, yeah, go for the right tool. But I think Godot is a solid tool, so you don't have to worry about having any issues with that one. But yeah, let's see what about other stuff. Like, can you? Yeah, there can be a lot of tools, I would say, but yeah, depends on your tool definition, I would say. Yeah, you can do a lot of stuff with but I want to hear more questions regarding concerns about Godot. Like, what are your concerns? What is stopping you to right now to download Godot and start making a game with it? Why what do you think that's a blocker? Let's say, what's a major blocker for you? Probably people that 3D abilities. Yeah, it has 3D abilities. So a common misconception for Godot is that it doesn't do 3D, but it does 3D. And we have one partner, Canopy Games. They released a lot of courses how to make 3D games in Godot. So yeah, it's possible. It's possible. By the way, I think GD Quest released a course, like recently, a free course, how to make a 3D game in Godot. So go check that out. Yeah. No, there are actually there are tutorials and examples and yeah, it's just you don't you don't find them. But I want to show you quickly. Yeah. So for example, this is a sample of no, for example, this example, like this FPS that I've downloaded, like there's some FPS not FPS Godot tutorials. So for instance, this one does offer more because it shows you how to build an FPS, and I think it has more scenes. Let me see if I can find it. That's the problem. If you don't structure the assets, I just got the assets. So by the way, this is a full project that I downloaded from Godot. So this is one problem. I need to run the scene, not run the project. Forgot about that. Yeah, we'll get there. So this project was is in the Godot documentation. So there is step by step. There are step by step instructions on how to make it, but you can also download it if you want just to see how it works. And one strong point of Godot, and since we are here, I can show you one feature that I really like about Godot. This world environment is crazy. I need to remove it. Well, now it's much more better. The fog was crazy, but now I don't have any light. So what's really interesting regarding Godot is the fact that you have this grid map system, which is, imagine like having a 2D tile map, but this is for 3D. So if you can put objects on a grid. Yeah, I think PBR there is PBR, so you don't have to worry. But also, in general, for PBR to achieve PBR, you do need complex 3D models that are, because PBR means physically based rendering. So that means that the objects that you have need to be created with Substance Painter and need to have like all the layers and all the materials correctly to get that proper effect to have the PBR functionality. But I think it does support PBR, so you don't have to worry about that as well. But I want to show you how quickly it is to create a level here, and I'm just putting stuff up like I would put in a 2D game, and yeah, I can. By the way, I cannot put like multiple tiles, but I can change the position of the tiles of the tile map, so I can increase the height position, so I can put them on a different level. And of course, by leveraging this, and I can also change the rotation. I just don't need I just don't remember the button. I think, I don't know exactly, but you can also change the rotation of the object here that you place. So it's quite, oh yeah, I know. So if this one with WSD keys, you can change the rotation of the object. So just imagine this just having this functionality right out of the box, and you can create levels on the fly with this. So it's quite powerful to have this and at your disposal and to create stuff. And by the way, you can shift this grid to different like axes. So for example, now we're on the Y axis, and I can put stuff like this. So you can create multiple levels. Yeah, I would say like 100k limit from Unity is not a showstopper at the moment. Um, so, but if you intend to make this a living, yeah, basically Unity is free for 99.9%. Um, if you want to make games for a living, imagine this: 100K in I would say in West Europe or North America or probably some other countries would get you 3, 4, 5 maximum developers per year. 100K. So basically, if you just create a company like this and you hire just a couple of people, then you easily get 100K just paying salaries. So it's not that much. I mean, if you just want to remain hobby, yeah. And I don't know if you there is like a video like how Linus Tech Tips pays like a lot of money to Adobe Creative Cloud. So because they use it for their videos, but this is the exact problem. Yeah, many people fail to create any game, but I do feel that with the right tools, with the right engine, and with the right community, and also with the right influencers that tell people what to focus on, because it's also you can get scope creep, or you can focus on the wrong things, and you can try and like see what works and what doesn't work for you. But if you want results, if you want to have something successful, think about like football players or tennis players or any sport player. What they have that makes them special, they have, of course, they have like super physical ability, but they have coaches. You cannot put out something. I mean, you can, and it takes a lot of motivation, but even so, it takes a lot of motivation, but without the right coaching, you'll just hit wall after wall after wall. But with the proper coaching, with there are a lot of good YouTubers out there that offer solid advice. I mean, Jonas Tyroler is one of them. He offers like solid advice. Like I watched a video how you can why does the game like keep getting bigger and bigger when it should have been finished. And just by learning from these people that provide free stuff on YouTube, you can achieve a lot of things. And it shouldn't be like the mentality, oh, people will not hit the limitation of the engine, or 99% 9 fail. No, you should be the one that succeeds. Why should you fail? You want to be the fail case, or you want to be the successful case? And you can do it. It's just a matter if you put your mind to it, and you have to get your information from the right people. You can get the information from the wrong people, but it's up to you to decide what is good for you and what is bad for you. Yeah, and of course it's multi-platform, and yeah, try to use the engine that you like. But yeah, in the end, that's really the case. It's up to you to decide whether you want to finish a game, what you want to publish a game, because trust me, it's a super nice experience to actually see people playing your game, like experiencing your game. Like it's so rewarding. It's something that it's out of this world. Like the feeling that you get is so rewarding that it's just a life purpose, for me at least. For me, it's a life purpose to make games and also provide advice for people that want to start making their games, because there are some things that I've stumbled upon in the past, and you'll stumble upon, and other people stumble upon. But if you get to the right stuff, you can get much more faster to your destination than I had, which is 10 years or more. So yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of time, and also like we're doing this jam. We're doing the jam component of this whole festival, and you'll if you participate, you'll be able to create a game, and you'll see exactly what is the power of the engine. That one of these powers is actually fast prototyping, and yeah, it's because you can basically have everything in the engine right out of the box, and you can create levels with CSG meshes. Someone pointed out, and you can do a lot of stuff, like for example, like the grid map editor, and oh, there, two of them right now are on the Steam. I'm not really proud of them because I was like the code monkey for them. So yeah, you can hit me up later on Discord if you want to know more about those. But I'm not gonna promote them in any way. um, yeah, I can be found on each. I have a couple of. I think I found one project made for a game jam. Yeah. The jam is gonna be crazy. Like um, the jam is meant to showcase what Godot can do, what can offer, and I'm really looking forward to the people that are submitting and to play their work, and of course rate them. So be warned, you have to make a good game. Of course, you'll be judged by the time you put. So it's 10 days, so you won't be judged like, oh, this is worth a year. So don't panic. It's no problem. But I definitely look for your submissions and see what you can come up with. Of course, the team. I forgot the team is gonna be announced on the game the day that the game jam starts. I think I'm gonna put an official video announcing the team, so you can go check that out. We have some ideas. We are still talking about the team, but yeah, it's gonna be also super great. It's gonna be super nice. And while the game jam, happens, we'll also do streams, and I think I'll try as an event organizer. I'll try to persuade some people, some like influence people to come and have like probably interviews with them live. That would be great. I'll try my best. But yeah, we will do like those sessions will be our best. Like these are the best, but those sessions will be like super best, like what we can offer. So yeah, it's gonna be totally crazy. Like 10 days of like super crazy streaming, and like we already have like a month, but in those 10 days is gonna be super crazy stuff what's going to happen. And after this, after the submissions, and we're gonna have like the your ratings. So you're gonna rate your games between you, and of course you're also gonna rate. But after this, there might be confusions, like one game gets like 50 rates, other gets 20. We will like put it through different filters, and we'll make sure that the games that got rated don't buy them, because I'm not the one that published them, and I don't have the Steam account. So someone else will get the money. Right now, the only way to support me would be to buy the asset pack, but which is public. But yeah, it's for Unity, so I don't recommend that as well. As I mentioned, I come from 6+ years of Unity development, so I know Unity. I learned Unity before it went mainstream. So that's one other thing that I want to point out. I learned Unity before it went mainstream, and now I'm learning Godot. So I don't know. It's just like a coincidence, or before version 4 drops. I don't know. Might be a coincidence. Might be a coincidence. Might be not. But we'll have to wait and see what Godot 4 offers. But I think Godot 3 offers so much that you have to download it right now and check it for yourself. And in tomorrow's stream, we'll actually have. No, I won't be Llama. I won't be selling myself undervalued. No, the itch. So the itch is also redefined game dev. Yeah, the first time. Yeah, no, it's because it's a long story. Basically, I worked with someone, and I was not in charge of like the game design, and we kind of like the games ended up being asset flips. That's why I have some videos on my channel. It's like on my channel, like focused on asset flipping because I know it firsthand. But I mostly did the programming there, and I'm not really proud of them. And of course, like the account. So that person will receive the money. So, of course, yeah, that's why I'm saying like I mean, you can go buy the games because they're like he sells them super cheap now. So um, yeah, the voting will be restricted to people that participate. Yeah, because otherwise, yeah, you can bring people to vote for your game. Well, in the end, if you do that, if you create account and like put join and vote for your game, we'll do a check. So you cannot like trick the system in that way. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, I've actually have a lot of game dev stories, but this is just the first stream of many. And starting tomorrow, we'll have other creators joining. So the next day, we'll have Tohid from Tohid Game Dev. He learned game dev like last year, and he started with Unity, and now he's gonna try Godot for the first time. So if you want to see a first time experience, and also in 2 days we have Kekdot, which they work with Unreal, and they'll try Godot for the first time as an Unreal developer. I don't think they know Unity, so that would be even cooler to see how Unreal people see Godot and the experience. I come from a Unity, so that's my experience, but I've also put in effort and I learned Godot fast. So, but Tohid will start from scratch. So it's going to be really interesting to see what are the initial struggles of people. Maybe you find yourself in one of those struggles. I don't know. But yeah, we also have like we're gonna post. I mean, if we have let me show you quickly. So so I mean, I'm just gonna put the webcam as well because I like having a webcam there so you can see me. So if this becomes a success, and I don't want to brag, but I think it will be a success. But if this is successful, I'm thinking that we can have this event 2 times per year because it's a lot of work for all the partners involved. And I want to point out like the website because a lot of people got confused. So in the welcome section, you do get this countdown will change. Initially, it was countdown for the official announcement. Now is the countdown. Yeah, Tohid. we want to see you struggle. We want to see you in pain. No, I don't think Godot will give you pain, so you don't have to worry about that. But I'll drop by stream and give you advice from my keyboard. So say. So here now it's countdown to Jumpstart. So here's like the days remaining. You can find this on itch.io page as well. And these upcoming events, like these are the 3 events that are upcoming. So we are here right now. So this is what's happening right now. Tohid is next. Tohid is next, and then we have Kekdot. And if you want to see like the complete program, of course you can check it up here. The times I didn't know how to put them like best because each one has like a different time zone. So I just, instead of putting them like normalizing them to a specific time zone and hopefully creating more confusion, I just put exactly the time zones that we are in because I felt like that was it was much easier for me at least to manage. For Kekdot we don't have yet a time, but I think it's also around the Central European time, so that would be it's, I think if you go check a video, I have a video like I learned Godot in 2 weeks. But then someone said, I learned Godot in 1 week. And I found a video saying like I learned Godot in 24 hours. So that means that I have a problem. No, it means like you can learn it fast. So actually like all of these partners already have announced what they're going to do. Some others are still thinking. So this is why it's called to be announced. The main event. So we have the main event start. So what's going to happen in that day? We're going to have a premiere video saying the theme. It will be on this channel. And after this, we'll do a live stream. I hope in that live stream to get more people, more partners, and to discuss the theme and to discuss like some options or how you can build your game. So make sure you stick around that stream because it will be, by the way, Tohid, since you're in the chat, can you tell the people where you're gonna stream? Because I know right now you stream on Twitch, and you said you want to move to YouTube streaming. So can you tell us where we can get your stream, and also for me to later like put it here, like you see mine has a link. So yeah, tell us. Yeah, you can make a small game. But yeah, the main event, so 2 videos, one first video announcing the team, and then one live stream like with more partners discussing the theme. And then we'll have like sessions while you still like develop the project, but we'll still have sessions. This is where like the main stuff, the coolest stuff happens. And then the last, of course, we'll have oh, nice, you're joining the YouTube gang. Well done. I'm looking forward to see your stream tomorrow, Tohid. So in the submissions close, of course, you'll have the ending session, which will be probably another live stream. And then we'll have live streams every single day, mostly playing your submissions. So we'll have different creators. We also have VTuber creators. So we'll play your games live. Hopefully we can play most of the games. But yeah, this has a couple of purposes. One, to get your game out there and like to get feedback from a lot of other people. The other is for people to see as many games as possible and give ratings. Another one would be to of course, like if you know, I mean, we aim to provide a list of the games that are going to be played beforehand, so you know if your game is going to be played in that particular stream. So yeah, you can go and check the stream where your game is going to be played. That would be awesome, like to see how other people experienced it. And whoever knows what else we're going to do in this submission close phase. But yeah, in the ending will be like a live stream announcing the winners, and we'll have 2 categories here, one for 2D and one for 3D. Of course, there'll be like the random itch.io, not random, like the ranking from itch.io, but the main official ranking that we are going to provide is going to be based on 2D and 3D categories. So you can submit to one or both. By the way, if you check my video with Jonas' challenge, I made a game that you can change the perspective from 2D to 3D. That's crazy. But yeah, that's the plan. And also this is like the contest rules, and we try to maintain like this page and the itch.io page with rules and stuff. So there might be a little small things. So if you notice some different stuff here from what's on the itch.io page, please do tell as soon as possible. In the learn section, we have, oh, hi Zufi, nice to have you here. In the learn section, we do have the partner resources first, because of course we're the partner, so why not have first, and then we do promote other stuff like Heartbeast and GDQuest and other people that are making super awesome tutorials, also Garbage. Yeah, a lot of other people that have cool tutorial, or Mrs. I love his tutorials. They're like so straightforward and so straight to the point that is just crazy. I wouldn't see myself doing those kinds of tutorials, but I love like watching them and taking the knowledge out of them, because he gives them so fast, so you don't waste your time basically. And then an about section, what you get is basically Discord for all of the partners. So we had here like a question regarding like, oh, I'm looking for a team, and which Discord should I join? Of course, I'll tell you join my Discord first. Joking, but yeah, you can join my Discord, and then check some other cool Discords as well, because each one has a different community. So yeah, we complement each other, and we have different stuff. But of course, yeah. We try to promote every partner Discord, and you can hop onto any server you like. But yeah, since this is my stream, I can get crazy with it and say, yeah, join my server. So yeah, basically this is it. Any other questions? And I think these are like the final questions, because I'm starting to like lose my voice now. So is the chat still, is the stream still working, or is this radio silence? Okay. So with that said, I think we can conclude today's stream. Don't forget to join Tohid's stream tomorrow. We made the Twitter handle called GoGodojam, so make sure you follow that one. I'm gonna write it in the chat. And yeah, follow GoGodojam on Twitter. And I had yeah. Thank you for being here. Thank you for creating this awesome community. Don't forget, we as a game developer community want to provide Godot with more tutorials and dispel like crazy myths that are around Godot, like only for 2D or stuff. So be sure to support this and like let's make Godot get big. And that's the main purpose of this. Cool. Then if you enjoyed it, don't forget to watch Tohid tomorrow. I'll come back with another stream. So in the program you can find me as well. Let me check. So I have not posted yet, but I think I'll be on on the 18th, 19th, or 21. I don't remember exactly the date, but probably that's where I would have the next stream. So I'm gonna update this program as soon as we close the stream. So yeah. Okay, cool. Then thank you for joining and have a nice evening or have a nice morning for people out there. And go check the other streams starting tomorrow.